Hello, welcome again. So today we'll be discussing on 10 reasons why pornography is wrong. Some people would say, there's nothing much now. I'm not seeing the person. I don't know the person, and the person doesn't know me. I'm just looking at it on the phone. No, it is wrong, and it is risky and harmful for your health, as you will come to see. So the first one is that pornography sets unrealistic expectation for sex. I mean, there is no woman who will look like those porn stars. And a young man, or as the case may be, also a young woman, who begins to view porn begins to expect whoever they marry or whoever they are married to behave and look like those people on the porn sites. You set your partner up for failure. You set your relationship up for sexual frustration. So the fact that it sets unrealistic expectation for sex is just not possible that the real thing will be like what is there. And it is so, because that is how God made it. But expecting it to be like that is setting yourself up for pain and frustration. And the innocent partner is carried along into that cycle of misery. So that's the first point. Second point is that it destroys natural sexual interactions. After a while, people say it just doesn't work, or they say they don't enjoy sleeping with their partner. I mean, married people now. I'm talking, when I say partner, I mean a married man or a married woman. We will come to explain why I said married man or married woman later. So they say they are not enjoying having sex with their partners because the mirror they are looking at from pornography sites is broken. So it destroys natural sexual interactions. Don't believe the jinx that it will make it better. No, it just makes it worse. Then the third reason is that while it's destroying that, some men now have erectile dysfunction, they cannot perform. And this is not even the type of erectile dysfunction that you can use medical aphrodisiac for. It doesn't work for that because it's a psychological erectile dysfunction. You need to rearrange what is broken psychologically. Medicines may not fix it so much. So it's a painful form of erectile dysfunction. If it continues like this, they could be dealing with infertility and, of course, issues that follow erectile dysfunction. Then the fourth reason is I've had young men who are not sure of their sexual orientation. They feel that maybe they are gay, and they will feel like this because, they will feel like this because they have been watching homosexual porn channels. Pornography is like a script. When you have watched it to a point, you may want to act out what it is you have been watching. So if it messes up your concept of whether you are an heterosexual man, it's probably because you have been viewing the wrong sites. And after a while, the script is playing into your reality. God did not make any man as an homosexual. He made us heterosexual. That's why he made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Adam. So if at a point you begin to wonder, maybe I'm homosexual after all. No, it's because you've been feeding yourself the wrong script. That's one of the side effects of pornography. Then the fifth thing is there's increased rates of depression for those who are addicted to pornography. Every addiction messes up your dopamine pathway. This is the reward pathway for happiness, for excitement, for exhilaration, for motivation. We have that pathway running normally when we don't abuse things or we're not addicted to things like porn. But porn comes in and begins to break down this pathway such that it fails to function on its own. You cannot be excited about regular life activities. The fact that you wake up and you are healthy, which you get everybody motivated and ready to conquer the world. Such motivations are not there. The person first wake up and want to watch porn. So after a while, porn becomes the replacement for happiness. And when porn is not there, it's just a natural cause for depression to sink in. So they are at really high risk of having depression, such that when they are even when you're trying to win them off such, they have initial bouts of some significant depths of unhappiness that borders around a bit of subclinical depression. So that's a complication and one of the negative effects of porn addiction. Then the seventh reason is there is increased rates of divorce. The man or the woman who is addicted to pornographic channels now holds their spouse to an impossible standard. Sexually, physically, the woman is not thin enough, the man is not big enough, as the case may be. I'm talking maritally now. Those are grounds for divorce. Before you know, you start having major cracks in the marriage, arguments that were never there start to come up, and before you know it, marriage is broken. And how did it start? It started by the very first click on a porn up channel. Then the eighth reason is, of course, there is risk of addiction. Every behavior that we use to cope with life, except godliness, there's risk of getting addicted to it. Even if it's food that one is using to feel happy, after a while food can become an addiction. We have discussed that on types of addiction. I think you should look at that. Even if it's work we use to cope with feeling restless or not feeling good enough, after a while work can become an addiction. Then the person works just to feel that I'm worth something. So the same way pornography, one can get addicted to it. The entirety of such an individual's life is spent around procuring porn, watching porn, and masturbating, then feeling like crap, watching porn again to feel better. So it's just a vicious cycle of pain and misery. That's one. Two is that they start watching women in bikini, then they go to softcore, then they go to hardcore, then they go to deeper levels of depravity, from child rape to incest and the likes like that. So it's just from one level of mess to another one, like frying pan to kettle. And it's a painful thing as you watch them become so helpless, almost like they are physically bound to such channels. They can't control the impulse, they can't control the cravings, they can't control the urge, and every time they are not there, they are feeling bad, feeling like they are not happy, and that's the only thing that can make them happy. It's an helpless state that one would not even wish one for one's enemy. So for that reason alone, checking out porn channels is not in your best interest. It doesn't serve you any positive benefit. Then the ninth reason is that he isolates. I don't know anybody who watches porn in groups. I don't know, except of course another level of perversion. So the way it isolates you is normal holistic interactions that will make you happy. I mean, you get to rub minds with people. Pornography isolates people such that the entirety of their existence revolves around that pornography. They are at work, they are thinking of porn. They are conversing with you, they are thinking of porn. So they are there, they are not there. They have been isolated and set apart for pornography. So that's another negative effect. Then the tenth one is it's spiritually and morally wrong. Now, why some people are raising eyebrows of why morals? We'll get to it. Let's start with the moral wrong path. I don't know any culture that would say exhibiting your sister or your brother's nakedness is acceptable. Neither do I know any culture that will allow you taking a video coverage of your brother and sister's sexual interaction and putting it up for the world to see. Neither do I know any culture that tolerates premarital sex, culture, indigenous culture who have not lost it, and say yes, this is acceptable. So morally, pornography is not right. If it's right, people should be able to proudly say yes, I watch porn. The same way people say I watch action movie, I watch those kind of movie. Nobody will say I watch pornographic movie and come and say it in a group of sane people to let you know that it is morally wrong. Now to go to the fact that it's spiritually wrong. I know this generation, there's a lot of blur lines. Now you don't know what is right and what is wrong. But Bible says, do not shift the ancient landmarks. If there was any way God talked about punishing people, there would always be one of such areas which has to do with sexual impurity, sexual immorality. The case of Bathsheba and David is a very clear example. He was just watching somebody bathing, and from going to see someone bathing on the rooftop, he sank into adultery. From there he sank into suicide, and it was just one level of depravity to the other. And I want to believe that that Bible story is there as a warning to all of us. So it is spiritually wrong, regardless of how much you've been brainwashed into thinking that you can watch porn and still be spiritually upright. It is not possible. Pornography is spiritually wrong. It's like a vice against who you are watching, both spiritually and physically and morally rather. Then some of the things that they watch are even children. Morally speaking, how many people would want to see an 8-year-old being sexually violated? I don't think anybody in their sane minds will want to see that. But then pornography makes their victims so helpless that now they don't see the difference between right and wrongs, and it's a painful experience. So then those are the 10 reasons why pornography doesn't serve to benefit you. Now for someone who has listened to these 10 reasons and is now wondering, how do I get out of this? There's a video on this channel about 10 tips for quitting addictions. You can start there. Then if you need a therapist, please seek out one. If you need to admit yourself into a rehab, please seek out one and begin your journey towards sobriety. So until next time, please stay sober. Thank you very much.